Good. Well, I'm Ken Spector, and I'm here today with Paul Tukey, and he's worked on a film. It's actually your film. It's called A Chemical Reaction. And could you say a little bit about what the film is about?
Well, it's about the first town in North America that ever stood up and said we don't want lawn and garden pesticides around our homes, schools, daycare centers, hospitals, public parks anymore. These are things used to kill insects or dandelions. A doctor showed up at town meetings in 1985, and a lot of people thought she was absolutely crazy. Crazy. But she went to every single town meeting for 6 years, and in 1991, Hudson, Quebec became the first town in North America to say no more pesticides. This went all the way to the Canadian Supreme Court over a 10-year period, and now most of Canada doesn't allow weed and feed and insect killers, stuff like Roundup, to be sold. And so we made this movie to say, let's talk about doing that here in the United States.
What is the need? What is the American dream? Why do people need green lawns, such incredible lawns with no dandelions?
Of course we don't need them, but we've been convinced by advertising, and this advertising campaign began generations ago, because it's a way that chemical companies can make copious amounts of money. So the advertising that goes out there every spring, you see the advertising right now, we're heading into March and April, May, you'll see all this advertising, tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars to convince us that we're somehow un-American if we let dandelions grow on our lawns.
Yes. Now the crazy thing about dandelions is the fact that they're very edible.
Oh,
I mean, in fact, people used to eat
my
dandelions.
grandmother.
I eat dandelions.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my grandmother used to go yard to yard to yard, and she got what she called a good mess of greens. In fact, that was going to be our title for our movie at one point. And she would come home with these bags and bags of dandelions and can them or freeze them, and they're full of nutrition.
Yeah.
I mean, they're wonderful for you, and ironically, we're killing them.
So vitamin C, vitamin A,
everything.
calcium, phosphorus. Not only do I eat dandelions, but the roots can be dried or can be used as a coffee substitute if you bake them.
And my grandmother used to make dandelions into wine also.
You can make them into wine. And dandelion greens. You can put in a salad. You can substitute for spinach. So we could eat the weeds and we could solve the problem instead of spraying carcinogenic pesticides all over them.
Oh, it's absolutely absurd. And it all comes down to marketing and money that someone else is making.
Yes, and so some of the other weeds that I saw in the film that are being killed by, what is the chemical that's most commonly used?
2,4-D.
2,4-D, henbit, knotweed, all edibles. These are all edible weeds.
Well, if I have a book called The Organic Lawn Care Manual, it has the 40 most common lawn weeds in a glossary. Virtually all of them are edible.
Yes.
Virtually all of them are edible and used to be eaten by our Native American cultures, used to be eaten by our grandparents. Now, of course, we're getting away from that, but there is a certain part of the culture that's moving back in that direction. I know you rode your bike here today, congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much.
And you're eating your dandelions. We have to get back to that.
Well,
we have to.
We have to. Well, let's do it right now. This is actually mallow. This is a wild plant. It's a wild edible. And you can actually, we're in the middle of the city. I wouldn't suggest anyone do this because there could be some toxins coming from the environment.
Or dogs.
But the fact is, I'm going to eat it.
There you go. Yeah, and it's not going to kill you. You're not going to fall
Not
over.
only.
And I'll have some too.
You'll have some too? Some mallow. And these are mallow cheeses right here. You can boil these little things. And you can add some sweetener, and you can make marshmallows. Right. I don't know if you've done that before.
Oh no, I've never done that before.
Yeah, I have.
And I would caution people: know what you're eating. If you're going to do that, do it, but know what you're eating first of all.
I absolutely know this is mallow. This is an invasive weed, but it happens to be edible.
It happens to be edible.
Yes.
So many things.
So many weeds are edible. Right. So as far as the film goes, what do you hope to accomplish from this film?
Well, we wanted to get out there as much as we can. We used Al Gore's movie, Inconvenient Truth, as a role model for what can happen when a movie hits the zeitgeist. Now, obviously, the vice president of the country made the movie instead of somebody like me that most people on the West Coast don't know about. But that movie, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, you can't argue the fact that that movie elevated the discussion about global warming. We're hoping that this movie elevates the discussion about weeds. If you drive by somebody's lawn and you see this beautiful, perfectly weed-free lawn, I want people to say immediately, whoa, wait a minute, how did that lawn get that way? And is that safe?
Right.
Is your lawn safe for your kids? Is your lawn good for the planet? The answer is going to be no if you don't have any weeds at all.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, what are the alternatives? Now, you actually were a gardener. I mean, you actually sprayed the chemicals on the lawn.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I made a lot of money doing that.
Yeah.
But the alternatives are to use products and techniques that are environmentally friendly and can still give you a really good-looking lawn. Part of the discussion is if you go organic, it's not going ugly. It doesn't mean that your lawn has to look like this patch right here. You can still have a nice looking lawn with materials that are natural. That means they came from an animal, they came from a plant or a mined mineral, You put those things down instead of the toxic chemicals, you will have a very nice looking lawn that your kids can roll around in and you don't have to worry about it.
So there's two real alternatives that are very sustainable. One is to spray perhaps organic pesticides on the lawn.
Sure.
And the other would be to just eat the weeds and let the weeds grow.
Exactly.
So, you know.
Yeah. In Canada now, let me tell you a story, is that after 20 years of no pesticides on lawns, if people don't have a couple of dandelions, if people don't have a little bit of clover, they figure that their neighbors must be cheating, coming to the United States, buying the pesticides and bringing them over the border illegally.
Right.
That's what's happened. So we can do this. That's the message of the movie. And whether it's lawn pesticides or anything, the message of this movie is you can do it. Don't feel like you're powerless in your town to make a difference. The woman, the heroine of the movie, did that. She went to every single town meeting and she hammered them, and it took a while. She didn't get a yes the first time, and too many people, they don't get a yes the first time, they get a no. They say, okay, well, I guess I can't do it. Yeah. She wasn't willing to accept no for an answer.
And having sprayed all these pesticides, that was your career in the 80s for a while.
Yeah.
I saw in the film that those pesticides are still inside of your hair and inside of your body.
They tested my blood, my fatty tissues, my hair. It's still there.
Is there any way to get that out of you?
Well, there is. You know, I'd have to take some time off and go to a detox center, and supposedly I could get those things out of me. I've kind of learned to live with it. My wife can't wear perfumes, my son can't wear anything. I have to use soaps that don't have any dyes, don't have any deodorants in them, and I get by, and I survive. I have some really bad days sometimes, on airplanes especially, but I've learned to survive. But someday when I have 6 weeks off, I want to go to Dallas to the detox center and get all that stuff out of my body.
So what can people watching today do to perhaps talk to the government about getting rid of these horrible pesticides?
If you go to
such problems,
we have a nonprofit foundation called safelawns.org. You can download some of the materials and just give them, say, here, please read this. And pesticidewatch.org, right here in California, has all kinds of handouts that people can take and bring to their governments and say, here, look at this. In the state of New Hampshire, I was testifying 2 weeks ago, they're considering being the first state in the country to have a Canadian-style pesticide ban. And we had all kinds of doctors. There were several, there were half a dozen doctors out of this small audience here today, voicing their concerns, saying we need to make a difference. So there's all kinds of resources that you can bring to the town.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for the I really appreciate it. Would you like to have some more mallow with me?
Absolutely.
All right, let's pick a good one.
Okay.
There you go.
Fresh, there we go. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's sweet too, huh?
It is.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Take care, Bob. Bye-bye.